Thanks so much for tuning into Dirty Teeth. It's been a good long while since I've made a video. I'm a little bit rusty, so please cut me a little slack, Jack. Here's the scoop. My friend Jay Petervary is just a few days away from embarking on the full 3,086-mile Great Divide mountain bike route. He'll be riding as fast as he can, starting in Jasper, Alberta, Canada, all the way down the spine of the continent to the Antelope Wells border station dividing the US and Mexico. He'll be following the Adventure Cycling Association route the whole way, including the lesser known and utilized portion from Jasper to Banff. This was introduced in 2018 and added over 300 miles to the route. There's currently no established fastest time or FKT for the full Monty. Jay has named the project Unearthed, and at age 51, he's out to set a benchmark fastest known time to dangle a carrot for the new generation of bikepacking racers to chase. That said, he's also using the effort to raise money for bikepacking scholarships through Rebecca Rush's Be Good Foundation. In addition, it's a great chance to educate folks about the Adventure Cycling Association, the history of the GDMBR, and the nuances and differences between this and the Tour Divide race, which happens every June in Banff. All the links to learn more about this stuff, as well as track Jay's progress on his ride, are in the description down below. That said, Jay literally just received the bike frame he'll be using for his time trial just 1 week before departure. I headed out to Victor, Idaho to check out the bike and join Jay on the maiden voyage, so let's get to it.
The bike. Honestly, the bike is what kicked off this whole project. And when I mean bike, I mean the frame specifically, and then how I wanted it built was pretty specific. This titanium midtail bike made by Esker is pretty unique. Not that midtail bikes are new, but I don't think we see the pointy end of the pack racing on them. And I have reasons for it though. It's not like I just grabbed it out of the air and said, oh, this is going to be a better bike. I truly feel it's going to be a better bike for the ride because I have experience with it. I rode across Alaska on a midtail bike. I spent 16, 18 days, 20 hours a day connected to this midtail bike.
By the way, Jay didn't just ride across Alaska, he won the 2018 Iditarod 1000 on his Salsa Blackboro aptly named mullet. And he did so with a record time for the southern route, 16 days, 23 hours, and 45 minutes. Just figured I'd throw that in the hopper.
I learned some nuances of that bike, let's say. All the nuances. I feel it's more stable. I feel it's more comfortable. You could pack gear on it better. So I have reasons for it. And then I think by doing this ride, I'm going to learn more nuances of it.
Oh yeah. I can already tell how fast it is. It's going to be fine.
Whether it becomes negative or positive, I'm going to gain an experience from it. And I'm okay with being the guinea pig and figuring that out. But with my experience, I don't think there's any negative whatsoever. So it can only be the positives. So when we're looking for marginal gains, how can I not use that bike? And that's really how this started. Because I was like, once I get that bike, I'm going to do a project around this bike. I want to ride the divide on a midtail bike. That's what I said when I finished that ride across Alaska on a midtail bike. This has literally been probably 4 years, 5 years maybe. I was patient with it. You know, I never really rushed it. I would talk to different people and they're like, oh, you're going to, I was like, it will come, it will happen. Like I truly believe there's like things happen for a reason at a certain time. And this is the time. I started looking this year and it kind of fell pretty naturally. Like sure enough, after talking with some people, I end up with a picture in my inbox of a titanium midtail mountain bike. And I said, how do I get that bike? And that was it. I was like, okay, project started.
Full disclosure, I filmed Jay walking us through all the details of the bike build, but when I took this little micro SD card and went to slide it in my carrying case, I accidentally cracked it. I know, total jabroni move, right? My computer won't read the footage and I don't really have time to deal with it, so I'll do my best to give you the rundown. As of now, it's a Frankenstein Esker titanium frame with a Hayduke front triangle and a stretched out middle area and longer chainstays. Julia goes through more of the details in her article for Bike Magazine, so check out the link in the description. With time of the essence, Jay did a bunch of the rough assembly himself, and then we headed over to Fitzgerald's Bikes. The head mechanic Jim took us down into the dungeon to finish the build in a quiet work environment. He tended to the more delicate aspects of the build, like running and bleeding the traditional and sub-brake levers. He also drilled a couple holes in the frame to run the Di2 wires.
This definitely voids all warranty. All right. Hopefully it didn't fatigue the frame.
Jay's running a plethora of Shimano components and Di2 electronic shifting. The traditional drop bar shifters, brake levers, and sub-brake levers are GRX. He also had a second set of shifter buttons on the bar tops, as well as a third hidden set in the aero bars so he can shift from pretty much any hand position. These brake levers control XTR 2-piston brakes mated to 160mm Ice Tech rotors. And all those shifters control XTR front and rear derailleurs. At the time of filming, he was still waiting on a clamp band adapter for the front derailleur, so that wasn't installed quite yet. The crankset is also XTR with a 38-28 chainring configuration and of course a set of XTR pedals. Because of the extra long chain stays, 2 XTR chains are combined to wrap around the 1140 XTR 11-speed cassette. The handlebar is a Pro Discover carbon drop bar wrapped with wolf tooth supple bar tape and Redshift cruise control drop bar grips. The stem is also a Pro Discover model, but length and rise are still TBD. Above the stem are head flip-up aero bars mated to a trusty Fred bar that Jay's been using forever. He's using a wolf tooth premium headset with some gold spacers for a little bling. Jay also elected to use a Pro Discover carbon seat post, and although Jay has been running physics saddles for years, this is his first time opting for the Argo adaptive model for a long distance event. Jay's opting for a squishy fork this time down the route, specifically a Fox 32 step cast with 100mm of travel. At the time of filming, he only had a non-boost version, so we threw on a 34 step cast in the meantime so he could mount his wheels, which happened to be the Bontrager Covey RSLs found on Trek's Elite World Cup cross-country bikes. This is a sub 1200 gram wheel set with a 29mm internal width and no rider weight limit. He's mated them to the light and fast rolling Continental Race King 2.2 tires. Mike Hall used these on his record-setting Tour Divide ride, and I happen to be pretty fond of them too. Jay's foregoing a dynamo hub this time and has enlisted a couple high-end rechargeable lights from Exposure in the UK. Mounted on the bar is a 6-pack with a whopping 3900 max lumens, and clicked into the helmet is the lightweight Zenith, which boasts 2100 max lumens. I can't wait to hear his feedback on these puppies after the ride. Last up are the bags. Jay partnered with his longtime sponsor Tailfin for a full set of custom ultralight luggage. In addition to the more typical frame and top tube bags, they filled up the extra midtail area with some super functional storage. Equally as eye-catching is the custom pack dangling below the aero bars. Lots of functional storage with great attention to detail.
Be happy.
If you're wondering where the saddlebag or rear rack is, you're right, there's not one. I'm pretty sure this is the first Divide bike that I've seen that doesn't have some sort of rear luggage. The weight and volume of the gear is centered and most of it nice and low around the bottom bracket, pretty ideal. I've got to admit, the complete build of this stretch limo version of the Esker Hayduke is pretty slick. And the frame is actually lighter than the Rodeo Labs Flanimal that Jay won the Great Divide Classic race with a couple years ago. I'll be curious if and when Esker decides to bring this bike to market, especially after Jay's feedback from this ride. I almost forgot. For funsies, I lined my Salsa Cutthroat next to Jay's bike so you can have a frame of reference for the extended wheelbase. Anywho, Jay, I know you're in great shape both physically and mentally, and I pray for blue skies and tailwinds. Most of the time. Don't forget, if you want a dot stock or learn more about Unearthed, all the pertinent info and links are in the description. Until next time, ride bikes, give back, pay it forward. Thanks so much for squeezing dirty teeth into your busy schedule. Please help us reach more people and ensure you receive new videos by giving this video a like, subscribing to the channel, and clicking the notification bell. Until next time, ride bikes, give back, pay it forward.